Hey guys, I'm really excited for you guys to be here right now. It's a very special moment because right now I'm standing in front of Queen Elizabeth School, public school, which was the first school that I came to when I first came to Ottawa. And these teachers here have done something very special, and you're gonna see what they've done. But yeah, I'm really happy to be here, and come join me. Yeah, so basically we're just having a conversation about how I actually got in contact. Well, you contacted me, and you told me the story, and then when I saw that it was Queen Elizabeth Public School, the school where I actually went to, it was kind of like a surreal moment for me. And the fact that you had been teaching my story to the kids for the past 4 years. And I remember being in school, and there was never anybody that I would be able to identify with, like mentors or leaders. There was never anything taught like this in school, right? Where they can take things that are relevant to the kids, and they can identify with, and then they can be inspired by. So this is great. So maybe you can tell us how you got started.
Yeah. So in 2009, I was sitting in my dentist's office, and my children were visiting the dentist, and on the coffee table was a copy of Reader's Digest. And so I picked it up and started reading, and then I was completely intrigued because I found your article from the ground up. And I sat there completely entranced and thought, this is such a huge connection. The struggles that you went through, the challenges that you faced, the fact that you migrated to Canada with nothing. And it really connected with the students that I teach here at Queen Elizabeth, some of them. But there was something in your article that spoke to all of my students. And I came back to Queen Elizabeth, and the very next day I photocopied it and I gave it out to the kids, because here at Queenie we focus on 10 character traits. So there's appreciation, cooperation, empathy, integrity, perseverance, etc. And the article spoke to every single one of them. And so we read the article with the kids, and the kids immediately picked up on it. And there were some that were saying, this is me, this is my life.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, and Alfonso got out of it. And this is how Alfonso got out of it. And they said, well, I can get out of it? I said, you absolutely can get out of it. Yes. And they were so inspired. And so because they were so engaged, we took it further. And I had the kids create essays. And so their goal for the essay was to discuss in the paper 3 character traits from the 10 that we study here at Queenie.
So this is kind of something that you got right here.
Yeah, so this is the beginning. So we do your article, and then when I teach the kids theme, because finding the theme of a story is really difficult, so I have them color coded. So they go through your article, and they have to rip apart pieces of paper, and the paper, the colors represent your story. So it also picks up the mood of the story. So you can see, like pink was hope. Your mom had a lot of hope coming to a country from El Salvador, and then all of a sudden it's black, it's bleak, because I believe you went to Montreal.
Yes.
And then she didn't feel comfortable there, and then she had to go back to Nicaragua. So it's really black and really dark. So then the kids are able to, because they're color coding without even knowing it, what they're doing is they're breaking apart the story into main events and main ideas. And then when they're done, they look at this piece, and it's all the colors, but they know in their mind what the colors represent. So then they can say, okay, well, the mood of the story goes from one that's really doomy and gloomy to one that's really hopeful and inspiring, and it's because of the character traits that you were able to overcome all of your struggles and challenges and be the success that you are today. And then from that, we get the theme of the story, which the kids feel is one of survival, which is it was hope and endurance and perseverance that really drove you to your main goal. And then from there, we create an essay. And then from there, the kids have a language choice, so it's on the backboard, where they had to choose whether to do a retell of your story. They could choose a memoir, so pick one certain memory, and then expand that story. So what would it have been like to be your mom and to come home and find that letter of eviction or that threatened letter of eviction It was either her son or you, and the kids got that, and that was a really powerful conversation we had with the kids, and the drugs, and talking about that, and the baby. And so that was one choice, the memoir, the retell. They could choose a painting where they could paint the most important part of the story. Do you have some of those paintings? Yeah, they're just in the very back. So okay, so I'm going to take a look at those. And I'm just saying, it's really incredible. Now, obviously, you took it on the next year, right? Yeah. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your experiences.
Well, the thing that I was watching Lisa's class, how they were responding to the article, and you know, the fact that you were also in Ottawa meant that it was something that was local, and it was...
You had no clue I had gone to this school.
Well, we had no idea whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
No, but the fact that you were that the story took place, your successes were happening in Ottawa, and I mean, that makes it really tangible for the kids, and the kids are like...
They can relate.
Well, that's just it. And so when I saw that it was so powerful in Lisa's class, I thought, well, of course it's going to transfer into my class. And the kids, again, they really did, they read the story, and then they would reread the story, and they would go back. And I did a very similar exercise to this, but what we did was we created a ladder of your moods as you go through the story. So it would start at the bottom and it works its way up, just like a ladder would. So colors, the same idea, so it's fairly dark as it starts and it ends up going up to being fairly bright and hopeful. And the connections that the kids make, we could talk for days about all of our different character traits, but unless we can connect them to real life stories that the kids can also then connect with, they think of those character traits as something that they're always going to be aspiring to, that they don't have. But when they realize that, you know what, I'm at that level, I can do that.
I can do that too.
And it gives them that confidence to have the next step and to move forward with their lives.
So this is what I was, what I've been talking. At that age, I never had that confidence. I feel that the school education in those days was, kind of one box.
Yes.
And if you did not fit in that box, they didn't know where to place you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just wondering, what are some of the obstacles, or is there any, for teachers to be able to bring in their own kind of stories to relate to their class? Because not every neighborhood is the same, not every situation is the same. So how were you able to do it, or is this possible for any teacher to be able to do this kind of, put this into their curriculum?
Absolutely, I think it's possible for anyone to do it.
And do you find that other teachers are catching on with this kind of
absolutely.
theme?
As a team here at Queenie, we've all agreed, and we all feel very, very strongly that most of our language arts curriculum is either based on character traits or social justice. So these are two things that we really feel very, very strongly about, and we want our students to be able to leave here and go to high school with that knowledge. So between character traits and quite often social justice, they overlap, and you see that kind of support within each other. So we can find all of the necessary things that we need to create that curriculum, but we're still fulfilling all the expectations that the province is asking us to do.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So how can we encourage more teachers to take this on? This kind of stories, things that relate more to the kids. Because I remember reading about John A. MacDonald, and Pierre Trudeau, and all these things which are great people, but it didn't relate to me.
No, they don't relate.
I would say, well, that's great for them. They've achieved great things, but I can't do that.
No, and so that's why I think it's important, because when I teach history and geography as well, but I teach geography within history. That way the kids are being exposed to modern day, and then they're going back into the past.
Yes.
So when we just started in grade 7, we're studying New France, and in grade 8 we're studying Confederation. And again, in those themes is the theme of survival. So I can say to them, okay, let's think about what struggles you could have had if you were living back in Confederation. Oh, now let's compare them to Alfonso's. So the kids
they can identify.
Tangible, they can identify, and they have ownership because they completely understand after reading the article what it is like to struggle. And a struggle can be what your experiences were, or it could be back in Confederation saying, yeah, I want to join, no, I don't want to join, and what are the reasons? And that's really important when we teach, is not just for the kids to be able to say, yes, he struggled. What they need to say is, Alfonso struggled because blah, 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 blah. So they need to be able to expand that thought and develop that thought, which then carries over to the curriculum of history or geography or science or whatever else we're teaching, where we can say, okay, let's look at this scientist, what did they do? And if the children are stuck, we can say, okay, well, what did Alfonso do? And then they can take those ideas and then bring them back to the scientists from way back, because they can identify. Exactly.
So it gives them the connections that they can get cross-curricular with, or it also gives them the connections that they can have personally with the text. Yeah, and that also, I mean, that builds on empathy. It allows them to do that, and then also from point of view, which is that whole whose voice is missing from this story, that gives them that opportunity to say, well, you know what, there weren't people like me in the history textbook. Why? And how can we look at where should they have been, and why couldn't they be written in? What would their story have been?
And we're creating history right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what I said to you, and you know, when I spoke to you, and I think in the emails, interactions, it's like teachers like yourselves that are really changing the face of the future, because these young people right now, they're taking this in, right? And they're being inspired, and they're going to go on and create their life, which is incredible. And this, I think, I want to commend you guys for doing such a thing. And I don't know how we can get other teachers on board, or you know, maybe you can send a message. What would be that message for other teachers and other teachers watching this right now? How can we get them to engage their students on a more personal level, and so they can identify with whatever, because all classes will be different, all school areas are different. So how can we encourage this more?
They are different, but it can also, you can use it in any single classroom at all, because even if you are more of an advantaged society, it's very important to learn about the disadvantaged society to create that really important piece of empathy.
So the only last thing that is that we spend a lot of time getting to know our kids.
We do.
And through the first few weeks of school and the emphasis on character traits, it sort of lets us see where we need to go with what we're doing, and that's where, you know, when we find things like this and we work together as a team and we share all this kind of stuff, it's so helpful, because you're not one person going it alone, and you're a group of teachers who are trying to do it together for the group of kids.
To me, that's incredible. I want to thank you, for changing the face of the future.
Well, thank you for sharing your story.
Yes.
And that's the bell.
That is the bell.
Yeah.
We are timed.
Is that on?
Yeah.
Yeah, just heading over to the gym right now. Set up for the presentation. This is the Queen Elizabeth Public School. Who's here, excited to get started?
N-O-O.
N-O-O. O-O.
Are you?
Are you? Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Hello. Queen Elizabeth, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Teachers, you're okay? You're good? You're all right? Teachers? Good? I know you've just been told to be very quiet, but I need to know what kind of energy I'm working with, okay? So I just want to know, how many grade 7s? Grade 7s, put up your hand. How many grade 8s? Put up your hand, grade 8s. Okay. So I need to know who's stronger, is the grade 7s or 8s, okay? So I'm going to give you the count of 3. I'm going to give you the count of 3. And on the count of 3, the grade 7s will make a little bit of noise. And we'll see who makes the most noise. Okay? This is the only time when I ask you to make noise, you can make noise. Who's ready? If you're ready, say I'm ready. Ready! Okay. So on the count of 3, the grade 7s will make noise. 1, 2, 3. We'll tell you who won at the end. Okay? How many people like music? Who's your favorite artist? Who? Justin Bieber? Little Wayne, okay, Little Wayne. Who? Me too. Okay. One Direction. Okay. Over there. In the NYC shirt. Yeah, I didn't raise my hand. Oh, I thought you had. Okay, in the back.
Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, okay, yes, nice. Eminem, all right. What else? Okay. Tokyo Hotel. Okay. Can anybody now, you guys kind of let me know what some of these artists have in common? You ever say? Good. Some are rappers, yeah? They're famous, okay? They all had a dream. They all had a dream. What else? Beauty, yeah? On the back?
They're all in the music business.
All in the music business. Some of these people have turned their passions into very successful careers. Some of them even turning their disadvantages into advantages. I want to tell you my story of how I turned my disadvantages into advantages and used my passion and purpose to start a very successful hip-hop clothing company without any money, without any experience, or even a job. Can you believe that? How many people want to hear about that? Raise your hand. All right. Some teachers, all right. So just to get a kind of feel, how many, I guess it's in the grade 8s, how many have actually read my story? Raise your hand. In a project? So for those of you who don't know, me, at 15 years old, I was focused on my disadvantages. At 15 years old, I was homeless, a high school dropout, and at my lowest point, I was panhandling for change on Rideau Street, downtown LA. At 15 years old, I had a lot to be angry about. I had a lot of excuses. Number one, I was angry at the world. Number two, I was angry at the people in the world. And I was angry at my life. Maybe even some teachers, not sure. But at 15 years old, I remember thinking, why can't the world change? Why can't the people change? Why can't everybody just change? If everybody changed, then I would be okay. At 15 years old, I was on my own. And I'm going to tell you, I don't recommend it for anybody. The world is scary sometimes. At first, friends will help you. At 17 years old, I got a little surprise. My girlfriend at the time tells me she's pregnant, and it's mine, and she's going to keep the baby. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I'm a kid myself. But at the hospital, when they brought my daughter out and they put her in my arms, everything changed. I was going to be responsible for another human being, and there's no way for me I was going to mess this up. I wanted my daughter to be proud of me. I wanted her to say, my dad owns the building, not my dad cleans the building. I decided to go back to school. I graduated high school At 19 years old, with a vision, with a dream, with an idea of opening my very own hip-hop clothing store. But of course, at 19 years old, people said, "You're crazy." I took those $2,700 at 19 years old, and I turned it into a company with 15 locations across Canada, even as far as Saskatoon. Manufacturing and producing our own brands and products that I fell in love. I used my passions, and I turned it into a successful career of being an entrepreneur. Now I've moved on to other things, and I fell in love with being an entrepreneur. But the real question, and I'm going to ask you this question, is how did I go from being a 15-year-old high school dropout to running my own corporation with 15 locations across Canada by 20 years old? Did I get lucky? No. Did the world change? Did people change? Did my teachers change? I discovered that for things to change, I had to change. I discovered that for things to change, I had to change. My attitude had to change. My mindset had to change. You see, the power of overcoming any obstacle in turning your disadvantages into advantages, in living a successful life, is in your hands. You have the power. Anybody can do this. Anybody in this room. Do you agree with me? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Any guys questions?
I just wanted to know, you said that you had to change to turn your life around.
Yes.
What changes did you have to make in yourself to be successful and to meet your purpose?
Good question. Very first thing is your attitude. Your attitude sometimes needs to change. Right? The way you see life. Your mindset needs to change. The way you treat other people needs to change. So, I want you guys to repeat after me. Okay? I will turn my disadvantages into advantages. I will turn my disadvantages. You guys gotta be in unison, okay? I will turn my disadvantages into advantages. I will focus on what I have rather than what I don't have. I will focus on what I have rather than on what I don't have. Good. Give your hands a round of applause. Later on, I discovered that I wanted to share my story. At first, it started with people coming into my store one-on-one. Youth. They said, how did you start a business? And I would tell them, and then they would come back. But then I reached out to a bigger audience, the internet. And I started doing YouTube vlogs. And I would just, at first I would just talk about my stories, my experiences. They were not organized. They were just kind of rants. Have you guys seen any vlogs? You know what vlogs are? Yes. Right, yeah, what's a vlog? Well, that's a vlog. Yeah, well, it's a video vlog. So basically, I'm showing my experiences, and I started this probably in 2008, which some of my videos ended up in the inbox of a Reader's Digest editor, which said, "We like your story. We want to know a little bit more about you. We're going to send a reporter to do a story on your life." the Assembly's reporter, and I thought it might have been, okay, they're gonna probably do maybe a little snippet, but it turned out to be a 7-page profile on my life that some of you guys read, right? Grade 8s? You guys read? Yeah. So, this story not only came out in Canada, but it went to 15 different countries around the world, translated in 5 different languages, including Chinese. Can you imagine my story in Chinese? But that was not the impressive part to me. That was not what was impressive. What was impressive to me was the overwhelming response from the world. People from Taiwan reached out to me. People from Alaska. No, not Iraq, not yet. Sorry, brother, sorry. Argentina, Chile, all over the world. They said that because of my story, they were able to start a business, finish school. My story inspired them to live their life to the highest capacity. When I got that response, I knew what my new purpose was going to be. My purpose changed at that moment. Even though I still work hard for my family, but my purpose went from being how, or what was I going to do with the rest of my life, to how I was going to use my life. How I was going to use my life in order to inspire others to live their life to the highest capacity. You have that opportunity. Your life can inspire somebody else. How many people would love to do that? This is where it starts. The choices that you make now. Your choice to say, despite these disadvantages, I'm going to focus on my advantages and I'm going to have a successful life. You're never too young for this. You're never too young to focus on what you want. So my life purpose now has become, how am I going to use my life in order to inspire others? Remember I told you, the power of overcoming obstacles and changing your life for the better, in living the life of your dreams. Living a successful life is always in your hands. Within you, you have the power to change your life, but affect somebody else's. Because your life is the message to the world. Your life is inspiration to the world. Your life will be the example you set for the world. And that's why I'm going to leave you here. I'm going to tell you, how will you use your life to inspire others? Because you guys are not too young. How will you use your life in order to inspire others to live theirs to the highest capacity? Thank you. Just a little bit.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you very much. You know that my class and Ms. Walker and Mr. Spencer's class have been using your articles for the past 4 years, and you have inspired many children beyond what sit here. And because of your character traits, that continue to make this world a better place, and let the kids know that every single one of you have something inside that can shine and shine bright. If you haven't found it yet, I hope after Alfonso has spoken, you have found that brightness, because every single one of you in this room right now has the ability to be whatever you want to be in life, no matter what obstacles you have. Nothing should get in your way if you really, really want it. So I want to present to you is a Queen E. We talk a lot And you, Alfonso, represent every single character trait that we have, and you are the epitome